After almost 4 decades of using an e-file, I know what to look for. Let's talk about that. So I started doing nails in the mid-'80s, and we called e-files a drill. And the reason being is because it was a dentist drill. Very expensive, like $1,500, $1,600 back in the 80s. That was a lot of money. But I loved it. It was a fantastic drill. But now we have electric files. They are much more lightweight and they're chargeable. So I just want to talk to you about what to look for in your e-file. That's what we're calling it now. So there are 4 things that really are the top of this. I mean, literally, I've been using them for almost 40 years. Who knows better than me about what to look for in a really good e-file? There's lots of things on here that we've got for this e-file, which is mine. Naturally, I'm going to put out a file that I really, really like. But the 4 things that are the most important to me is a slim, lightweight handpiece, that it has as many RPMs that I need, and cordless and rechargeable is an advantage because you can take it around and it needs to charge, and you don't want to use it when it's charging, but when it's charged, that's great because of the portability. And the other one is a forward and reverse button. Now, I'm right-handed, so I always use it in the forward position, but if you are left-handed, you do want to look for that feature. So let's take a look at this e-file, and we'll break down what an e-file can do for you. And then I do want to break down the bits that you need to get, just the basic bits, to sort of make it all make sense, because there's a lot of bits out there. There's a lot of e-files out there, and you don't have to get this one, but this will give you the knowledge what to look for when you're looking for a really good e-file. So let's pull all the items out and then we can break it down. We don't need that. A handpiece. You really don't need all that stuff, so because you're going to put it all together, most likely keep it on your desk. Okay, this is the rechargeable base. So as you can see, the e-file comes like this. We've got this icky plastic. Let's take that off. You don't have to have a giant LED screen, but it really is nice to have that digital display. And it comes in a little case as it is. This is also portable, that if you look on the back of it, it has a flap. This is really handy because it, like, I'll show you this. If this is your belt loop, you can just put it right over top of your pants or belt loop or skirt loop or something like that. Just, it's great as a portable unit if you're running around doing things like that. It really is quite handy. This does separate. So your e-file sits inside this case, and you can see on these little chambers here to put all your bits, your little bit holder. And if you flip it up right here, that's where your e-file will be charging when it sits inside the base. So then you want to make sure that you're setting it right down inside of the base, sitting on top of that post. So that'll be charging when it's plugged in. This is a little stand that you can rest it in. And this is a little post that you can put on the side of your e-file right here. You can just slide that right in here, and I'll show you what that does. Now we've got our handpiece. We're just going to put it all together so then you can understand how it goes together. And then your handpiece will rest right in there. And then you want to take the end, see that? See that little 3 prongs there? You just want to place that right in there. And then you've got your charger, and you just plug that into there. Okay, so of course, let's pretend this is plugged in. So we don't want to use our drill when it's plugged in. So make sure that you do remove the power cable. So to recap, a lot of things on here you don't have to have, like you don't have to have the stand. You don't have to have the little hook onto your belt, but you do want to have 30,000 RPMs, and you do want to have a slender handpiece. Something else you want to do if you are left-handed, there's a little button right here, and it's called F and R, which is forward and reverse. If you are right-handed, you really never use reverse. I find very rarely I will ever use reverse. But if you are left-handed, you want to turn on the reverse, of course, because everything will be reversed. So this is your play button, I call it. It turns it off and on, and it's a dial. To my knowledge, every e-file that you get should have this post inside when shipping, because you want to make the chuck inside happy for something to grab onto. So the point is then never leave your e-file without something inside of it. Just don't leave it where it's empty. And how we do that is, see the little lock sign? Well, this way it's unlocked, and this one is locked. So right now it was shipped to us locked with the little metal post inside. So I need to take it out. So what I do is I turn that arrow into the unlocked position, and now I can pull the post out gently. So some very basic bits come with it, and that is a mandrel, a pumice stone, and some very gentle bits. Different grades of arbor bands. So we're going to take the lightest, and we're going to take the mandrel, and we're going to slip the arbor band on top of the mandrel, and we're going to place it inside. I never really push it all the way down. I never do that. It's just too close to here, especially with the longer your nails you're working on. So I always pull it out a little bit to give me some room. So then I'm going to now lock it into position. This is just showing you how do you get your bits in and out of the drill, okay? So once we've turned it on, and that's what I love about this little dial, this is how we can read the screen. Remember the forward reverse button up here? That F will reflect that. So if I turn it, it goes to reverse. And turn it back, it goes to forward. The 00 is going to be your RPMs. And that's times 1,000. And this here is your battery charge. So we're going to turn it up. One thing I do like about my drill is it does do 1. Some just jump right to 2, but you can get actually 1,000 rotations per minute. The reason why that's important to me is because I use 1 and 2 when I'm natural nail prepping. So I find it super, super slow, and that's what I'm looking for. So when I turn the dial on, I can locate 1,000 RPMs, and you can see the bit turning. How can I prove that? Can you hear that? Then it's 2,000, and so on, 3, 4, 5, 6, and upward, right? Look how smooth that is still. At 21,000 RPMs. This one goes all the way to 35,000 RPMs. Very quiet. Look at that, how still it is. No vibration. It's fantastic. I don't work it that high. That's too high. It's too fast. You don't need it to go that fast. So the most I'll work it is around maybe 22, somewhere in there when I'm removing gel product. And you can still see, if I even put my finger in, you can see. Very, very smooth. Okay. And you can use this. You can put your e-file in there. So another feature that you can use, and again, this is a nice thing to have. When you're using it, you turn it on. And let's say you want to just stop it for a second. You want to grab something. You don't have to turn it off. You can just do this. Just pauses it. See how it stopped? It just pauses it. And then we want to go right back to that speed again. Press the pause button, and it starts right back up again for you. That's a great little feature. Okay. Once you get a full charge, don't forget, don't use it when it's actually charging. But once you get a full charge, you can get 8 to 10 hours working time out of it. When you think about it, when you have an appointment and you have, let's say it's a 90-minute appointment, you're only e-filing for a short period of time. So maybe you're using the e-file for 10 minutes out of that appointment. So you'll get an 8-hour use out of it. So it can go for a few days before you have to charge it again. So every e-file that you buy is a standard fitting for bits. Could you imagine if it wasn't standard? Thank goodness for that. So they are all 332 bits. That's the number you look for the sizing. So all the bits that we use in the industry, they all have 332 posts that will all fit inside. And I'll show you again. I'll open it up. All posts will fit inside there. You can see it actually opening and close. See that? Closes, and then it opens. It's a very, very slight move, but it's just enough to grab onto your bit and hold it in there, okay? So they're all standard, they'll all fit. Let's not forget, when you're not using your e-file, make sure that you put a little post in there and lock it in, and then store it either in the side or in the little side dish, okay? So let's talk about bits. It can all be really confusing. There is lots of bits out there, lots of fantastic bits for different things, but it is surprising how many things one bit can do. So what I have done is I've reduced the confusion, tried to make sense of all the noise of bits out there into really 3 bits that you really need. Let me explain what each of these bits does, and then you can decide where you're going to get those bits. I have them in a nice little kit on my website, but I want to explain it to you so you know what you're doing when you're going out and searching for bits. All you really need is a bit to prep the natural nail. You need to take away any bulk and sculpt, and you want to get anything a little bit underneath that you want to get. Those are the 3 essential types of bits that we need. So essentially you could say that's about 3 bits that I need. There's lots of things that it wants to do, like there's lots of tasks, more than 3 tasks, but 3 bits can get that done. So I have minimalized it down to 3 bits so it's not so confusing. So before I explain that, I will say that you can do a set of nails and a fill and removals without an e-file. You don't have to have an e-file to do nails, to be honest with you. But having an e-file makes it so much easier and more efficient. And there's only a couple of things that an e-file can do for you that you cannot do without an e-file, such as you can't get underneath. There's just no hand tool that you can use. There's no hand file, there's nothing you can use. You have to have an e-file to get underneath. That's probably the greatest thing about an e-file. The one more little detail it can do is it can really get into those little corners of the cuticle that a hand file isn't as accurate to get into. You can try to do it, but an e-file makes it so much easier. So having said that, so I just want to be clear, you can do nails without an e-file. I know a couple of really great artists that never use an e-file. One of them still uses the hand file, but the other one did learn the e-file, and probably because of the benefits that an e-file can get you. So an e-file does make your life easier, whether you're a DIY or a professional, especially if you're professional, because it makes you work much more efficiently and much quicker. That's getting down to the bits that I'm going to talk about. You just need 1 bit to prep the natural nail. Yes, you can do that by hand, but again, it really gets into those little tiny corners that you can't really get into sometimes with a hand file. So that is the mandrel bit, and that is this one. That's the bit that we use every time you're prepping a natural nail. Now it's a little naked. There's little rubber bands that go on there, and I'll show you that. After you've applied all of your product, no matter what you're using, whether you're using a press-on tip, whether you're using a sculpted acrylic or gel, or sculpting a hybrid gel, or press-on with the hybrid gel, whatever you're using, you need a bit to do some sculpting for you. You need the bit to do some shaping. That is this bit. I call it my bulk and sculpt. And I call it bulk because that removes product, and sculpt because it sculpts product. So this bit has 2 jobs, which is removing a lot of product and shaping a lot of product. And it's meant for product only. We don't want to use this on the natural nail, please. Never, never, never use this bit on the natural nail, okay? And the next bit, I just call it the cleanup bit. This bit can get into the cuticles, and it can get underneath those 2 little places that I said you just can't get unless you have an e-file, right? So that is an advantage, a huge advantage of an e-file. It can get into little areas that your hand file just can't get into. So that's why I recommend these 3 bits. You can use these bits on your whole career if you want. Now there's lots of other, and I have 4 more bits that I do love to use when I'm doing different things, but these are the basic bits that I could use and produce some very beautiful sets from beginning to end. This is really all you need. Now the mandrel does require arbor bands, and that is a little package that I have, and I have 3 different grits to them, and that is a medium, fine, and coarse, and they're meant for natural nails, and the coarse is only on sculpted. We don't want to use the coarse one. That's why they're different colors, because the green is the coarse. We don't want to use it on natural nails. So the purple ones only you use on natural nails, and I would use it at a 1 or a 2. I prefer 1, actually. I quite like 1. We just want to etch the nail slightly. We don't want to pulverize the natural nail. We want to gently etch it so the product can really grab onto it. We don't need to use a coarse, right? That's why I don't agree with using anything like these for the surface of the natural nail. So these go on top of here, and they're just friction fitted, as you saw in the beginning when I put that one piece on there. And that's how you take them off. You pop them off, throw them out, one per client. It keeps it really clean, sanitized and everything. So you just use one per client. So that's all you need for these ones. So if you're going to get into e-filing, that's the basics of an e-file, the things you want to look for, the attributes in an e-file to make your job easier. And those are the 3 basic bits that all you need to get started and even work quite efficiently for a professional career, even if you like, with those 3 bits. That's what you could use. Let me talk about some other bits that you can add. You don't have to have them. They are just kind of nice little fun bits to have. So this one little bit, look at this little guy. These are we never had these when I was first learning. I'm telling you, they're making things so much easier just to make it, just the learning process to be so much more fun. Well, this is the mandrel. And I love this mandrel. It covers more surface. I do like that better. But if you want to get into those tiny little corners, and this is a mandrel once again, let me just take it out. And let me show you look at these little tiny things. And they just slip right on top. Again, it's all friction fitted. In the old days, guys, we had these bits, but they were twice the size. We put them on with a screwdriver, and there was a screw in the end of it right here. We had to unscrew it every time and take it off, and sometimes we couldn't get it off. We had to use old pair of nippers to unravel them just to get it off. It was so tightly fitted. Then we would punch it down again and screw it together. So changing these out is a breeze. All you literally do is pop them off. They're fantastic. So this little guy here, this is a 240 grit. I have them like this. I call them baby sanding bands because they're so adorable. And there's several different grits in there, and you can just change them out for whatever you're looking for. This is a 240, so we would use this one to smooth a surface. It's a little light, in my opinion, 240. It's not enough to etch a nail for product. So you can use this around on the natural nail if you're just preparing it for like a manicure or something like that, for maybe gel polish, but I wouldn't use it for product. You want to use something a little bit grittier. But this is an excellent bit to get into those little teeny weeny corners that you might be having some difficulty with. This is called my trimmer bit. And the trimmer bit is excellent if you get a little bit of product in a cuticle, maybe it's flooded or something, a little gel polish, or a little acrylic or something, or a little bit of product underneath and you just can't quite get it in a really tiny little spot. This bit is excellent for that. It's also great for filing out the natural nail if you want to get rid of it afterwards. Some clients will decide that after. And it can also be really great for taking away product around the cuticle. This one is the same kind of bit. It's more of a finer finish, so it's not so rough, and it can also go around the cuticle in a very, very fine. I mean, I really like it because I'm doing photographs and they're quite close. So I would want to maybe just refine right around the edge just to make sure that it's super, super smooth. And this one is one of my favorite bits. I don't use it that often, but when I do, I have to have it. And this is my French cut bit. I have a video about that. It's quite extensive. It does a lot of work. This is a busy little bit when I do use it. Just a quick little demo. It basically cuts around and it cuts in really smooth to make a French cut all the way around, very, very smooth. This is why I love it. This makes my French life very easy and much more beautiful because it is sharp and crisp. I absolutely love it. Okay. So I hope that helps break down everything about what to look for when you're looking for an e-file and the basic bits of what you need. And hopefully that helps separate some of the confusion and so much coming at you with different bits and stuff, what you really do need to get started and actually use for years. Now, hopefully it makes sense with all the other bits you got. They're the extras and you can get them and they're fabulous. Don't hesitate not to. If you can afford them, get them because they're fantastic. But I hope that helps break down and understand more about your e-file and bits. Catch you guys in the next one.